One of the central issues in tennis these days seems to be the stance from which a player launches the striking action. The high priests of so-called modern tennis insist on using the open stance indiscriminately, providing rather dubious justification. They hype it as the latest discovery and the major advancement in the field of tennis. In a nutshell, the story usually goes that in the last 2 decades, the science of modern tennis, just like the computer science, was advancing by leaps and bounds, and some amazing new discoveries were made. One of them was the open stance. It, we are told, has opened the floodgates to the new heights of power, precision, and reliability, which tennis never knew before. The closed stance, according to them, is the thing of the past. Little more than the hallmark of the old school, vintage tennis, which in today's world simply doesn't cut it any longer. And in the brave new world of modern tennis, where all of us are headed, we can safely discard not only the old ways of striking the ball, but also such silly old thing as having to put our pants on, one leg at a time. Some of us strongly disagree. But having an academic discussion with the believers always proves pointless and disappointing. The best way of settling this question of open versus closed stance would be by turning for answers to the salt of the earth, where wisdom of experience and the good old common sense still count, and ultimately have the final say. Welcome to the world of the lumberjacks, where the reasons for doing things a certain way is not because you saw it on TV and thought that it might be cool, but because someone's livelihood and oftentimes the very survival depended on it. In the final analyses, a tennis drive can be boiled down to a single basic objective, that is, delivering a blow, and making this procedure as efficient and precise as humanly possible, using the assets of the human body as the only means of propulsion of the tool. This is exactly what the lumberjacks have been after, working non-stop, developing, honing, and passing on this very skill for many centuries. So, it might be a very good idea if all these fancy pants tennis gurus and self-proclaimed experts on mechanics would compare notes with them. With the help from their USTA credentials and the big and scary words like biomechanics, they could finally explain to all these backward country bumpkins how ridiculous and hopelessly outdated their striking stance has become. Or better yet, if they would take an axe into their own hands and show the whole world how much more effective, powerful, and even elegant their striking action would become if only they would use the open stance. But, as you might have already guessed, that in this neck of the woods, all this malarkey, which can be safely administered only to the gullible adolescents and their paying moms and dads, will not get you very far. On the contrary, these unpretentious roughnecks can definitely teach all of us a thing or two about how to strike the tennis ball. First and foremost, that the stance is only a means to an end. The stance facilitates and helps the delivery of the blow and is not there to hinder it. When the horse is always ahead of the cart, and you stop trying to force your feet into some contrived position only because you were told to, the body itself finds the appropriate and comfortable stance for each particular situation. And everything starts to look, and most importantly, work, pretty darn good.